Good evening and welcome. I am Amarachi Ubani. Tonight, Nigeria Customs Service breaks the arms dealers' cartel, seizes firearms enough to arm a battalion of soldiers allegedly imported from China. The federal government condemns the delay in Nigeria's justice system, agrees there's need for reforms. Abuja Court ordered the Inspector General of Police to provide security to protect parties in the trial of Justice Adeniyi Ademola. And United States President Donald Trump faces international criticism over executive order on travel and immigration ban.
On business news tonight, the chairman of Forte Oil, Mr. Femi Otedola, sees improvement in Nigeria's energy sector in the future.
And on sports news tonight, English Premier League side Watford accepts £20 million offer for Chinese club Chengcheng Yatai Super Eagles striker Odion Igalo.
And I'm Gloria Umezuke. Tonight, NNPC, DPR and CBN appear before the House Ad Hoc Committee on Oil Prospective Licenses, and they are questioned over the records of payments regarding downstream operations.
We begin tonight with a large cache of arms enough to equip a battalion of soldiers which have been seized by the Nigerian Customs Service in Lagos. The Controller General of Customs, retired Colonel Hamid Ali, told journalists in Ikeja today that despite the federal government's ban on pump actions and other firearms, 661 pieces of the rifles were found in 49 boxes concealed in steel doors and other other goods, and a 40-feet container conveyed in a truck. 3 suspects have been arrested in connection with the illegal importation.
Officers and men of the Nigeria Customs Service at the Federal Operations Unit Zone A, Ikeja, Lagos, watching over seized large firearms offloaded from this 40-foot container, which, according to the Customs Service, was impounded around the Apapa Mile 2 expressway, where it was discreetly packed. Searching the container, over 600 pump-action rifles concealed in several steel boxes, enough to equip the whole battalion of soldiers, were found. Sources say the goods were manufactured in China and taken through Turkey into Lagos, Nigeria.
The government decided to prohibit the licensing of pump action and therefore put it under absolute prohibition. So the importation and transaction of pump action is completely, totally against the laws of this great nation. Such deadly contravention of the law is even more unacceptable, and considering the fragile security situation in some parts of the country.
The customs boss reveals that preliminary investigations shows that the consignment went through clearance at the Lagos port, but that all the officers behind the deal are undergoing interrogation while other suspects are in custody.
I've directed that the drag net should be wide open to fish out all persons involved in the importation and clearing of this consignment. This seizure underscores the determination of the service to enforce all laws relating to importation and exportation of goods into and out of Nigeria, thereby contributing to the economy, security and well-being of Nigerians.
As investigations continue, the question on the lips of many is how this cargo was successfully cleared from the seaport, and then the final destination these arms were being taken to. All these will be left for security operatives to unravel.
The Customs Service has promised to dig into the importation of this cargo into the country. And while they're doing their duty, I'm being joined on the news at 10 by a retired Army officer who gives us some perspective on the arms seizure and the implications it has. Thank you so much, Colonel Yomi Dari, for joining us on the news at 10.
Thank you very much, Amarachi, for having me on board.
What comes to mind when you see stories like this, customs seizing goods? I mean, not just goods, but weapons we're talking about now.
Well, my take on this is that it portends grave danger for our nation, especially given the present security climate in the country. I mean, for all you care, we can sit down here and start to ponder from now till tomorrow on how or who is responsible for these.
Sorry, go on. Did you want to say any more? Because I was going to ask, we do know that we don't know the destination of these arms, and of course the customs and the military will be investigating. Yes. But could they have gone into the wrong hands? Had they been unidentified by, the customs service, if they hadn't been discovered?
Yes, again, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That given the present security situation in the country, you have crisis with the Boko Haram in the northeast. You have the militants in the southeast, south, the agitators for the IPOB, and of course you also have in the southwest you have the militants too operating there, and they are all armed. So for all you care, any of these groups could have been responsible for bringing in this. And again, the country generally right now, I mean, you find out that people, even some ordinary citizens, people are aggrieved, So sometimes probably it might be there might be justification in saying some individuals even want to protect themselves. Is it the Fulani herdsmen? People want to protect themselves again.
Where would normally be, the markets where anyone could buy such a large cache of arms?
You mean
idea?
You mean within the country?
Well, this obviously didn't come from within the country. It came from outside.
It came from outside.
So,
yes.
So if we probably knew where the arms were coming from, or possibly a possible market, then it might also help us and probably help the authorities to figure out where it is headed. Yeah.
Well, the good thing here is that according to the news we've all read, that's available on the net for us, the arms were said to be imported from China, and then so far 3 people have been arrested, and then the Controller General has told the public that even those custom officials that were responsible, because for all you care, these arms were cleared from the seaport.
Probably because they were unidentified as at that time.
As at that time? Well, it is expected that due diligence, proper inspection should have been conducted before clearing the goods from the port itself. But the goods came out of the port. They were only intercepted by the Forces Operations Unit, FOU, of the Custom. That's another special unit. And they were intercepted, on their way out, on Mile 2, the Apapa, expressway, So, so it's a good thing. It's a welcome development that the Controller General has promised that he's going to institute an investigative body into this, and then Nigerians are interested in knowing who imported these arms and what is the destination of these arms.
And I want to think Nigerians are actually happy that the arms were actually discovered.
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
They could have, they portend more harm.
More harm, yeah.
Than good. Thank you so much, Colonel Yomi Dari, for joining us on the News at 10.
Thank you.
We're in the courts, and now the federal government has asked all justice sector players to join hands in tackling the problem of delay in the administration of justice. At the opening ceremony of a 2-day stakeholders summit organized by the Lagos State Ministry of Justice, the acting president, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, asked judges, lawyers and other justice sector parties to adopt the right attitude so that there can be change for the better. The summit had a theme, Contemporary Trends, Catalysts for Justice Sector Reform in Lagos State. Our judiciary correspondent, Shola Shieli, reports.
The Lagos State Stakeholders Summit on the Administration of Justice drew a rich crowd of judges, lawyers, members of the executive, the legislature, the police, prison officials, traditional rulers, and many others involved and concerned with the justice sector. The state's Ministry of Justice organized this summit as a platform to brainstorm and discover more innovative ways to improve effectiveness and performance of existing justice infrastructure and to further strengthen their capacity to meet the justice sector needs of the people of Lagos. The Attorney General of the Federation delivered the keynote address on behalf of the acting president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo. He dwelt on the challenges of the justice sector institutions and made recommendations for reforms.
I would like to call on the judiciary to embrace a day-to-day system for trials and introduce significant cost for delay occasioned by lateness, ill-preparedness, or deliberate tactics aimed at stalling a case. If we can agree that these problems are against our collective interest as practitioners and stakeholders, then we must make a firm commitment to tackle the problems by changing our attitudes and standing up for what is right.
The host governor believes that societies with equal and unhindered access to justice have a better environment for economic growth, and this is one reason why this summit is crucial.
As a government, we are well aware that to achieve our socio-economic goals of a cleaner, secured, peaceful and more prosperous Lagos State, we need a functioning justice sector which guarantees not only the maintenance of law and order, the enforcement of human rights and freedom, but also provides an administration of justice ambience that protects investments and encourages economic development. One of our top priorities is to leave behind a legacy of a 21st century justice sector driven by digital technology and powered by digital literate judicial officers and legal service providers.
The two-day summit will take contributions on all issues of case management affecting all justice sector parties. Contributions which should proffer a way forward for the administration of justice in the country. Shola Shrieli, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, an Abuja High Court has criticized the prosecutor in charge of the case of Justice Adeni Ademola of the Federal High Court and two others for the manner in which the case is being handled. Justice Jude Okeke has warned that if the prosecution fails to produce its witnesses at the next adjourned date, the court will be forced to do the needful. Justice Okeke had earlier ordered the Inspector General of Police to provide protection for parties in the suit following allegations of harassment by the prosecutor. Our correspondent, Amaka Okafor, reports.
The trial of Justice Adeni Ademola, his wife, and a senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Joe Agi, has resumed, with the prosecution alleging that his witnesses are being harassed. The prosecution, Mr. Segun Jegede, told the court that one of his witnesses allegedly escaped an assassination attempt the night before, and that the said witness says someone had called to broker a meeting with the defendants. Opposing the submission, counsel to Justice Ademola, Mr. Onyechi Bazu, says if any crime is perceived to have been committed, the right thing is to approach the security agencies to launch an investigation and file charges if anyone is found culpable, rather than trying to whip public sentiments. In a short ruling, Justice Okeke said that since the case is in the purview of the Nigerian police, the court will not interfere with its investigation. He, however, ordered the Inspector General of Police to provide security and protection for all the parties and witnesses in the case. The prosecutor also applied for an adjournment to Wednesday to enable him prepare his witnesses, but the defense lawyers opposed the application. Lawyers to the three defendants submitted that the prosecution should apply to withdraw the charges if he has no witnesses to prove his case. In his ruling, Justice Okeke agreed with the defense that the application for adjournment is uncalled for, unreasonable, and does not fall in line with the attitude of the present government or the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. He, however, granted the adjournment for 24 hours only, instead of the 2 days requested by the prosecutor.
Last night, my client called me at about 2 a.m. He was calling from the station, and he had been taken there by the police because he was attacked at his residence, and is on account of that. He ought to have testified this morning, but he's not ready to testify on account of his state of mind.
This is a very rare situation where the defense is even more eager than the prosecution to have the case determined in court. So it's just a story, a baseless story, and they know it.
The case has been adjourned to the 31st of January 2017 for continuation of trial. Amaka Okafo, Channels Television News.